never get over the fact that you'd be sitting there watching a football game and I would just be going, that's Elvis right there. All right, next up, this gentleman's been doing a lot this week. He's been on stage singing with a lot of the ETAs, and he was with us last night during our Fan Choice Awards, and he blessed us with his musical ability again, and we'd love to talk to him now and have him sit down and tell some stories about his time standing over on stage left with J.D. Sumner and the Stamps Quartet. Larry Strickland, come on out. Yeah. There he is. Good morning, sir. Good to see you again. There you go. Have a seat there with us. I was telling them, you've been popping up a lot this week on stage.
You know, I've done the elevator there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this week has been busier than I've ever been. All the years I've been coming. I usually come and just do like the gospel show and then the Elvis on screen show, one of those deals.
Well, you keep saying yes when they ask you. So
you know they did.
It just rolls.
Alicia, when I'd get these texts from her, and hey, do you mind? You want to do this? Well, I'm here, so I may as well stay busy. I hope y'all don't think it was just my idea to be seen all over the place.
Let's just get this out of the way first. At what age did this voice arrive?
You know, my dad was a minister, and he took me to a gospel quartet singing when I was about 10 years old. And that's when I first saw J.D. Sumner in the stand. I mean, not the stand, he was with the Blackwood Brothers at the time. And the bass vocal just got my attention for some reason. And from that point on, that was all I could think about. And as my voice started to change as a teenager, then I just began to sing low, and I would just keep lower, and I'd get some records I'd sing along with and match the bass vocal on the records. And I did that enough, and then, smoked a lot of cigarettes, drank a lot of whiskey. No, I didn't do that.
to be we'll cut that out. No, we can't. To be a bass singer standing next to J.D. Sumner is like being a baseball player standing next to Hank Aaron. I mean, it's
thank you very much.
No, I mean, it's J.D. Sumner. Well, I mean, it's the guy you saw when you were 10 years old. How did it wind up that you end up standing next to J.D. in the stands?
Actually, I think the two bass singer thing was primarily Elvis's idea, because Elvis always thought that J.D. was like this huge star, and he was in the gospel world. And he saw that he was getting older, and I think Elvis at one point said, "Listen, J.D., I want you to stop traveling so much," because when Elvis wasn't touring, we'd still go out and do our gospel tours. Mm-hmm. And so Elvis wanted J.D. to set it up so he could just stay at home and just work for Elvis and not do the gospel tours, and have a second bass singer to do that. And that's when they hired Richard Sturman. Mm-hmm. He was actually the second bass singer.
Yeah.
And then when he went with Oak Ridge Boys, I took his place. But fortunately, I didn't have an ego, because he would, every night part of our gospel show would be him burning me and kind of making not a fool out of me, but making it sound like I was not really a good bass singer, because I would sing a bass line, and then he would come right behind me and sing it an octave lower. So.
That's kind of.
So I loved him, and I learned a lot, obviously, being with him and the Stamps, and so, like I said, fortunately, I didn't have an ego, and it was fun to be on stage with him.
It's always, and it's hard to grasp how big a star J.D. was, and the only way I can explain it is, Elvis looked to J.D. like we looked to Elvis. That J.D. was the star. J.D. was, Elvis just was like that.
Yes.
He would go to the door of the Alice Auditorium and hang out to see J.D.
Yes.
Before he was the big star.
Yeah, when he was like 17 years old or 16, whatever. Yeah, he loved the gospel quartets, and that had a huge influence on his music.
And if you're not a Southerner, if you grew up in the South in the 60s and 70s, there were a lot of TV shows on Sunday morning that featured, I remember Gospel Jubilee, all these shows that featured these gospel quartets. And don't think gospel quartets sing like this, standing there. You guys, I can see where Elvis got the love of moving to music.
You know, there was a group called the Statesmen, and the bass singer with the Statesmen, Big Chief Weatherington, big, tall, really handsome guy. He's one of the best looking guys in the whole gospel world. He had these moves, and he would actually do his leg, you know, like when he'd go down for the low note, he'd wiggle his leg like that and this kind of stuff. And I can't say this for sure, but I mean, Elvis's ideas had to start somewhere, and I'm sure he watched those guys all the time.
Yeah.
And some of that probably came from Big Chief Weatherington.
In Tupelo, next to the birthplace, they moved the church that Elvis attended when he was a kid. They moved it onto property there, so when you come to the birthplace, you can see the actual church and go in and be there in the room where Elvis would go to church and hear singing, and where he would stand up on the pew and sing along. Speak to us just a minute about how important the church was to Southerners, especially Southerners like Elvis who had nothing, just had nothing.
Well, as far as the music was concerned, you know, unless you had a house full of musicians, you know, it was basically the place where you got your music. I mean, there was radio, of course, but it was sparse. You know, not everybody had a radio. So that was the place, more than likely, that you got the most music and got the most influence.
And because they didn't have a radio at the time, you know, that's what they're hearing. And if you had a radio, again, that's something else Elvis loved, Grand Ole Opry. That's what you listen to on Saturday nights. Now, for you, in the days on the road with the Stamps, you know, things have changed in the world, and now as you travel around, like you said, you've toured with the Big Screen Show, done a lot of events. Things have changed with, take us into back in the day when you guys were going from point A to point B, what a tour with Elvis was like. What did that involve for the musicians and for really everybody traveling? Because it wasn't just Elvis walking out on stage, it was an army of people who were traveling in support of him. How tough was that travel schedule, and what happened?
Well, we probably made it tougher on ourselves than it had to be because, you know, we had too much fun. When I joined the tour, they were flying everywhere. They had two planes. Elvis had his plane, and then there was a separate plane for the singers and musicians and the part of the crew.
Yeah.
So it was pretty easy. The gospel tours, you know, riding on our old double-decker bus, you know, was the fun. It was the part that wasn't fun. You know?
Yeah.
But in saying that, you know, people ask me, you know, what kind of a guy was Elvis? And this almost makes me tear up here, but he bought us in the last year. He bought the Stamps Quartet. J.D. Sumner bought us a brand new bus. He bought us a bus. You know how much a bus cost? I mean, back then, of course, they're $1 million now, but back then they're like, what, 200,000 or more? He bought us a new bus to travel in.
Yeah.
And of course, from that time on, it was, you know, we were in style, we were in comfort.
It's been said that you know, think about it, that when Elvis is on stage doing a rock show, wherever he is doing a rock show, on that stage, he's got gospel singers. And pretty much every show, at some point, Elvis did a gospel song or two and made sure to feature, by name, J.D. Sumner and the Stamps Quartet, and the Sweets, and Kathy, and everybody up there, Voice, whoever was with him, made sure to feature them. And I've always contended that there are many people going to a rock show that had their first exposure to gospel with J.D. and the Stamps, and before them, the Imperials. That he made sure to include that because gospel was so important to him. He wanted to relay that music to his audience.
Yeah.
And after that rock show, especially in Vegas, if you were there, and you were,
Yeah. Vegas was my very first show with them.
yeah, everybody would go, and then the other show was in the suite, and it was pretty much gospel music.
Yeah.
That was the party hard group after a show, playing gospel
They
music.
got full of gospel music whether they wanted it or not. Because that's all he wanted to do was have, stand around and sing the old gospel and the old black spiritual songs. It was his love.
I've always been fascinated in listening to gospel quartets because your voice is all, if you really listen, you can hear each person is got their part, and they stay on that part, and it's always just in perfect, the way the music goes, the step is perfect between. What kind of singer would Elvis have been? He said he always wanted to be a gospel singer in a quartet. First of all, he didn't look like other gospel singers. How would he have been as a professional gospel singer? Could Elvis have been a member of a gospel quartet singing one part, his part?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, his range was incredible. So he could have done the lead or first or second tenor. I mean, yeah.
But I heard he had a tendency to sing whatever part was the cool part at that time.
Well, you kind of can't do that. I mean,
Exactly,
with a good quartet of four guys,
Yeah.
you got to stay on your part. And I don't know if you all back in the day have ever been to a gospel concert where it's just the four guys and a piano, but they can make the biggest sound you have ever heard coming off of the stage. I mean, unbelievable.
That's one of the things about gospel music, that it's in its simplicity, it kind of gets through deeper than a lot of other kinds of music. Even if you can't understand, if you're from another country and you don't understand the lyrics, it's that. And it's the same thing about Elvis's voice. I mean, there's other countries that, people don't understand the words he's saying, but they know exactly what he's saying because of how the feeling is coming through. And you saw that in performance with his audience.
So much emotion in every song he sang. I never saw him relax on any ballad, any song on stage. I mean, he put everything he had into it.
Yeah.
Every show.
And got nervous every show.
Yeah, he'd be nervous before he came on stage.
Yeah.
And a little bit, almost a little bit shy back then when he would just be coming up the steps, because I could see him. Most of the time he came up on our side, and so I could see him just before he would come up the steps, and then he would be nervous and have this kind of little shy look on his face.
And it vanished the minute he got in there and heard that. You
Yeah.
know, that makes up for a lot of troubles it took to get there when you hear the applause. For
Yeah,
him. In the years since, as you meet fans, what's the one thing that people seem to always want to know when they get to meet you?
The first thing they say, what kind of a man was he really? And all I can tell them is he was a beautiful man inside and out, extremely, extremely generous to a fault. Gave away cars and jewelry and paying people buses. And,
Yeah.
I mean, he couldn't give enough. And it just with that kind of a heart. You can imagine what he's like inside. And he loved to have fun. He told a lot of practical jokes. There's always a lot of laughter going on back in the dressing rooms and this kind of stuff. But he was an exceptional human being, I mean, in a lot of ways. And we all know that.
Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. When I'm backstage before a lot of the events, a lot of the Elvis family, you guys are back there, and it's fun to see the reunion of some of you that maybe haven't seen each other in a while. That you get to, when you come to these events, you get to see your old friends, and you guys sit around and just tell stories about the guy.
Yeah. Oh man, yesterday I was in the lobby of the hotel, and this little small guy came up to me, and I knew that there was something about him familiar, but it's been so many years, since I had seen him, I didn't know who it was. And finally, the guy with him said, Larry, this is Stomp. And I went, oh my God, I almost broke down in tears because I hadn't seen him in so long. And Stomp he not only played for the Sweet Inspirations when they opened the show, but when we visited, it started being an opening act as well, and he played for us, for the Stamps, yeah. So we were very close on the road, and we just had lost contact through the years. And gosh, it was great to see him.
Elvis still bringing people together.
Yeah.
You know? And I asked Shirley this, and I want to ask you this. Since Baz's movie and Austin Butler's performance, there have been so many young people that have found Elvis and are interested in him and are digging into his music, and it's all new to them. It's all new. I envy them that they get to discover this for the first time. What do you want? And they're learning. They want to know about Elvis. And I want them to know from the people that knew him, not what they can search for on the internet and whatever source that comes from. What do you want the young people, the new Elvis fans, to know about your friend Elvis?
I think right off the bat is probably the greatest live entertainer and singer, all-around singer that has certainly been in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And just how much of an impact he made on music itself, you know, how important his contribution was to music. Yeah, I mean, it's a phenomenon, but it was a right time, right place, and the right man for the job.
And he's still doing it too.
Yeah.
Still touching.
And I can see this is kind of off script here. We don't have a script, but this, you know, I was a judge on the Ultimate Elvis contest this week, and this kid, I was searching Instagram, I was scrolling through Instagram before I came to Memphis, and I saw this kid, and I couldn't believe it. I was going, wow, man, this young guy, his look and as good as he is, and I had no idea he was going to be one of the contestants on the Ultimate contest, and that was Emilio. And I'm thrilled that we have this young guy, 22 years old, you know, that has that kind of, he's got the look, he's got the sound, he's got the special thing, you know, when he comes into it. He's really a natural that I believe is going to bring even more younger people in. I think they're going to be real interested.
I saw you right after the contest was over that night, and you called me over because the song that he selected for the final was Blue Moon, and he's taken a lot of hits from people over that. But I'm thinking, well, he's an Ultimate, so I think it was a good call, but it's not a usual call. But you told me right after that, it was still fresh in your mind about that by doing nothing physically, it was all about the voice. And you said that there was a moment that do you remember what you said to me about he was singing and he looked out from behind the microphone and just kind of smiled, and you said at that moment you were like, he's totally in the zone.
Yeah, yes. So I hope you all understand what I'm saying. I know you all probably had your favorites, but as judges, we're kind of looking into the future and how do we perpetuate this whole legacy, and he just seemed like the perfect candidate for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure he sees your comment about that. Emilio Santoro from the UK, Ultimate. Yeah. He'll be playing this interview right here before his concerts from now on. So you go ahead and say something about me now, and I can play that in front of my camera. It's been so great to get to know you over the years, and we meet up and
we work together in Franklin.
That's right, yeah. Because Emilio was representing the Nashville Festival. I don't want to brag, but representing Nashville.
You did a great job there.
Yeah, we're very happy with him, and happy you were a judge, because to me, it's more important not that my guy wins or my favorite guy wins. What's more important to me is that the judges know what they're looking at. And when you have a judge like you darn sure know what you're looking at.
I like to think so.
It's so great to have you here, and I'll give you a little tip here. You've been working with EPE for a long time, and I have too.
Yes.
When they call and ask you to do something, you're doing the right thing. Just say yes. I'm here anyway.
Listen, if they don't call me, it breaks my heart. I'm going, Jesus, what happened?
What you do? Yeah. Well, Larry, it's good to see you, and I'm
good to see you,
look for
Bob.
him everywhere.
Yeah, I'll be everywhere.